Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Josh back with the Sobriety Social Podcast. It has been some time since I've been on here to post an episode, but I'm really excited to be back. For those of you that are kind of new to the podcast, I just want to take a second to reintroduce myself. So again, my name is Josh. I have been sober right around 4.5 years. So I think the last episode I actually recorded, I was right around 3 years sober. So pretty crazy how life continues to truck along and how life continues to change. But I'm sitting right at about 4.5 years sober. My main drug of choice was alcohol, Crown Royal, to be specific. But 4.5 years sober, and honestly couldn't be better. It's crazy how much life continues to roll on and change. But yeah, again, a little bit about myself. I have an amazing wife named Heaven. We have been married about 5.5 years, so coming up on 6 years here in July. I also have a 2-year-old daughter who is absolutely the joy of my life, and we have another son on the way coming up here in the next couple of months. So a lot going on, a lot changing, but I'm really excited to kind of get back into podcasting and take this opportunity to talk to you all about some of the things that I'm learning. So in the past, I kind of did some episodes that were just more sort of what was on my mind, what I'd kind of been thinking about, but I would like to roll into a brand new season. So this will be season 2 of the Sobriety Social Podcast. And what I'd like to do is do a 12 episode season, and in each episode break down one of the 12 steps and just talk a little bit about those steps, kind of the way that I view them, and a little bit more of like a biblical perspective on the 12 steps. And just sort of go over what I think about them and how I think that they can apply to our lives in the Bible. One thing that I do find really important is that anybody can get something out of these episodes. So this isn't just directly for addicts. This can be for people most definitely who do struggle with addiction, but also family members, loved ones, people that are in recovery. I want you to be able to hear these things and maybe take that as an opportunity to relate with your loved one a little more, kind of understand what they're going through, but then maybe even apply these 12 steps to your own life. I think that addiction concepts and recovery concepts are so applicable to all of us. It may not be directly to drugs and alcohol, but we all struggle with something. And these steps can really help ground us and move us towards the person of Christ. And so, even if you're not an addict, I'd still just encourage you to listen to this show and just take the opportunity to learn. One other thing I'd like to address a little bit in each of the shows is as we go through each of the 12 steps, some of them are bring up not so great feelings. And I think it can be a habit of mine to sort of want to twist the positive onto everything that I talk about. But for some of these episodes, some of the harder steps that we're covering, I don't want to sugarcoat it. So some of these episodes will be a little happier. Some of the steps that we cover that we address that make us feel a little bit better about who we are and where we're headed. But some of these steps we really have to take a look inside, and they don't always leave us feeling great afterward. And so, but I think that's okay. I think that part of working the 12 steps is acknowledging some of those hard feelings and some of those hard things that we go through. So, I'd like to dive in. So to start, obviously, we're going to start with step number 1, and that step is we admitted that we were powerless over our dependencies, that our lives have become unmanageable. So let me say that again. We admitted that we were powerless over our dependencies and that our lives have become unmanageable. Wow. I think that in and of itself is a pretty tough pill to swallow. One major verse that comes to mind that I'd like to just read really quick in regard to that first step is Romans 7:18 through 25. So give me just a second to get that pulled up here. And I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. But if I do what I don't want to do, I am not really the one doing wrong. It is sin living in me that does it. I've discovered this principle of life, that when I want to do what is right, I inevitably do what is wrong. I love God's law with all my heart. But there's another power within me that is at war with my mind. This power makes me a slave to the sin that is still within me. Oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that has dominated by sin and death? Thank God, the answer is in Jesus Christ our Lord. So you see how it is. In my mind, I really want to obey God's law, but because of my sinful nature, I'm a slave to sin. I think that really, for us addicts, for sure, that really sums up, I think, how we feel of oftentimes. I talk a lot about in my own recovery. I remember sitting out in my car outside of my apartment building, and I'd be sitting there with a bottle of Crown, and I'd be ready to crack it open, and the whole time I would be praying, God, I don't want to do this. Please stop me from doing this. Well, I opened up the bottle, and I would chug an entire pint of whiskey, all while praying, God, just stop me from doing this, and immediately feel flooded with some of that guilt and shame of what I had just done, and saying to myself, this is it. This is the last time. I'm gonna go in my house. I'm gonna sleep this off. I might have to tell one more lie to my wife about where I've been or what I've been doing or where that money went, and then I'm done. And I'd wake up that next morning and say, okay, like, this is over. No more drinking. I'm done with this. And then as the day went on, my flesh would kind of take over. And then next thing you know, I'd be sitting there the very next night in the exact same situation saying, God, please stop me from doing this. And yeah, feeling completely powerless. I think when we read that step again, we admitted that we were powerless over our dependencies, that our lives have become unmanageable. I think there's two words that stick out. The first word being powerless, and the second word for me being unmanageable. So speaking in regard to that word powerless, as addicts and people in general, I think we do just simply have a lot of control issues. I think that this has really come to light actually during these stay-at-home orders due to the coronavirus, COVID-19, and just recognizing that we don't like being told what to do. And B, we're just recognizing that what little control we thought we had over our lives, it can be taken away so quickly, so fast. So many of us were one day we were showing up to work, paying our bills, everything was going great. And next thing you know, we turn around and bam, our jobs were taken from us. Everything changed so fast. And yeah, we recognize all of a sudden that we aren't in control of our lives. Something as simple as a health pandemic, I guess that's not simple, but something such as a health pandemic can immediately just take everything we thought we had control over our lives and just take it away immediately. And then also, as addicts, we think we have control over our using. We think we have control over our jobs. We think we have control over our families. And I'm actually personally really grateful for kind of this pandemic and kind of like the reminder of that we are powerless. We don't have control, but what a huge important acknowledgement that is in our addiction to say, like, we are powerless over our dependencies. Everything we think we have control over, we actually do not have control over. And I think that verse in Romans, it really speaks to that. We do what we don't want to do, and we don't do what we want to do. We don't have control. Sin has gained a foothold and a control over our life. And yeah, just really control in general is a lie. But the second word that really comes to mind is unmanageable. And when I think of that word unmanageable, I really think of the idea that we can no longer keep track of our lives. We can't be where we say we should be or where we know we should be. We have a difficult time showing up to work, showing up to school, being who we say that we are. And for me, again, really, really personally, what became unmanageable to me, I know when I really hit my rock bottom, what I had really started to feel was like, I cannot tell one more lie. I can't keep track of who I've been telling what and what I've been doing. It became such a burden, and it became so heavy to continue to tell these lies and feel like I could control them, that my life did feel completely unmanageable. I could no longer just drive from work to home without stopping at the liquor store. the addict in me completely took control. It completely took over, and I felt like my life was completely unmanageable. And the absolute first step to kind of be able to move past that was just being able to come to the point that I admitted that I was powerless over my dependencies. And what a blessing to be able to come to that realization.